Coming up on 5 Minute News. Trump on tape presses Georgia official to find Trump votes. Republicans in both houses plot scheme to undo election. And vaccinations ramping up in a race to save the human race. It's Monday, January 4. I'm Anthony Davis. Donald Trump pressured Georgia's Republican Secretary of State to find enough votes to overturn Joe Biden's win in the state's presidential election, repeatedly citing disproven claims of fraud and raising the prospect of a criminal offense if officials did not change the vote count, according to a leaked recording of the conversation. The phone call with the Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on Saturday was the latest step in an unprecedented effort by a sitting president to pressure a state official to reverse the outcome of a free and fair election that he lost. The president, who has refused to accept his loss to Democratic President-elect Biden, repeatedly argued that Raffensperger could change the certified results. All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, Trump said, because we won the state. Trump's renewed intervention and the persistent and unfounded claims of fraud come nearly 2 weeks before he leaves office and 2 days before twin runoff elections in Georgia that will determine political control of the U.S. Senate. At another point in the conversation, Trump appeared to threaten Raffensperger and Ryan Germany, the Secretary of State's legal counsel, by suggesting both could be criminally liable if they failed to find that thousands of ballots in Fulton County had been illegally destroyed, effectively blackmailing them to help him subvert the result. That's a criminal offense, Trump said, and you can't let that happen. Democrats and a few Republicans condemned Trump's actions, while at least one Democrat urged a criminal investigation. Legal experts said Trump's behavior raised questions about possible election law violations, including sedition, in the state of Georgia. A group of Republicans has announced plans to reject presidential electors from states they consider disputed if Congress doesn't create a commission to investigate their claims of fraud. The effort, fueled by baseless allegations, drew support from Vice President Mike Pence on Saturday night. The lawmakers are the latest Republicans to challenge the January 6th vote to certify President-elect Joe Biden's Electoral College victory. The move will not alter Biden's path to assuming the presidency, but will draw out a normally routine process. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, James Lankford of Oklahoma, Steve Daines of Montana, John Kennedy of Louisiana, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, and Mike Braun of Indiana issued a joint statement on Saturday, claiming unprecedented allegations of voter fraud, violations and lax enforcement of election law, and other voting irregularities. They were joined by Senators-elect Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming, Roger Marshall of Kansas, Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, and Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. The statement calls for the creation of an electoral commission with full investigatory and fact-finding authority to conduct an emergency 10-day audit of the election returns in the disputed states. The statement does not mention which states the Republicans consider disputed, nor does it provide any evidence to back up their concerns. Mike Pence's Chief of Staff, Mark Short, said in a statement, "The Vice President welcomes the efforts of members of the House and Senate to use the authority they have under the law to raise objections and bring forward evidence before the Congress and the American people on January 6th, the statement reads. The lawmaker's statement comes days after Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri promised to vote against certifying the electors' votes over concerns about the integrity of this election. Congressional rules allow for any member of the House joined by a senator to contest the Electoral College vote. The challenge will prompt a floor debate and vote in each chamber. Senator Ted Cruz had a message for Democrats suggesting the Texas Republican should be tried for treason for calling for an emergency election audit. "I think everyone needs to calm down," he said. The US ramped up COVID-19 vaccinations in the past few days after a slower-than-expected start, bringing the number of shots dispensed to about 4 million, government health officials said on Sunday. Dr. Anthony Fauci also said that President-elect Joe Biden's pledge to administer 100 million shots of the vaccine within his first 100 days in office is achievable. And he rejected Donald Trump's false claim on Twitter that coronavirus deaths and cases in the US have been greatly exaggerated. "All you need to do is go into the trenches, go into the hospitals, go into the intensive care units, and see what is happening. Those are the real numbers, real people, and real deaths," Fauci said. The US death toll has climbed past 350,000, the most of any country on the planet, while more than 20 million people nationwide have been infected. States have reported record numbers of cases over the past few days, and funeral homes in Southern California are being inundated with bodies. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti said the pandemic is getting worse in his city as the virus spreads rapidly within households, and people let their guard down with news of the arrival of a vaccine. "This is a virus that preys off our weakness, preys off our exhaustion," he said. Experts believe that the real numbers of US deaths and infections are much higher and that many cases were overlooked in part because of insufficient testing. Overseas, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said more onerous lockdown restrictions in England are likely as a variant of the coronavirus has pushed infection rates to their highest levels on record. More than 50,000 new infections had been reported daily over the past 6 days in England, with the country likely heading to a full national lockdown. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.